Ships and shipping. We all know water is the oldest mode of transportation. The original sailing vessels were replaced by steamboats in the early 1800s and by diesel power in the 1920s. The main advantage of water transportation is the capacity to move extremely large shipments, thereby making it the most convenient and cost-effective mode of transportation. In this lesson, we will study ships and shipping industry, categories of cargoes, and types of ships. After going through this presentation, you should be able to discuss the ships and shipping industry, explain the classifications of ships, define the commercial vessels, describe the categories of cargoes, and discuss the types of ships. A ship is a large vessel that floats on water. Ships are generally distinguished from boats based on the size and cargo or passenger capacity. In traditional terms, ships were considered to be vessels which had at least one continuous watertight deck extending from bow to stern. Merchant ships came into existence as soon as men were able to build a craft that would float and carry people and cargo. The first well-organized merchant ships were from Venice and Genoa in southern Europe and Hamburg and Bremen in North Europe. Soon people realized the profits merchant ships could make in trading with far-off countries. The shipping industry is among the most competitive of international businesses owing to its cyclical nature. This cyclicality arises from the interplay of international trade volumes and the supply of shipping tonnage. Since there is no opportunity cost for shipping services which cannot be stored like commodities, freight rates drop even if there is a marginal fall in demand. Being a highly cyclical business, the timely acquisition of ships crucially determines the viability of shipping operations. The shipping industry is divided into several categories: liner services, tramp shipping, industrial services, and tanker operations, all of which operate on well-established routes. Ships are difficult to classify, mainly because there are so many criteria to base classification on. One classification is based on propulsion, with ships categorized as either a sailing ship, a steamship, or a motor ship. Sailing ships are ships which are propelled solely by means of sails. Steamships are ships which are propelled by steam engines. Motor ships are ships which use internal combustion engines as a means to propel themselves. Motor ships include ships that propel itself through the use of both sail and mechanical means. The type of propulsion system used, giving human-propelled, mechanical, and sails, and the epoch in which the vessel was used: triremes of ancient Greece, man o' wars, 18th century. The geographic origin of the vessel: many vessels are associated with a particular region, such as the pinnace of northern Europe, the gondolas of Venice, and the junks of China. Another way to categorize ships and boats is based on their use as described by Paulet and Pressels. This system includes military ships, commercial vessels, fishing boats, pleasure craft, and competitive boats. Commercial ships are owned and operated by private business with the intention of providing transportation services. Commercial vessels can be divided into three broad categories. A cargo ship or freighter is any sort of ship or vessel that carries cargo, goods, and materials from one port to another. Thousands of cargo carriers ply the world's seas and oceans each year. They handle the bulk of international trade. Cargo ships are usually specially designed for the task, often being equipped with cranes and other mechanisms to load and unload, and come in all sizes. Passenger ships range in size from small river ferries to giant cruise ships. Special purpose vessels are not used for transport, but are designed to perform other specific tasks. Examples include tugboats, pilot boats, rescue boats, cable ships, research vessels, survey vessels, and icebreakers. A passenger ship is a ship whose primary function is to carry passengers. The category does not include cargo vessels which have accommodations for a limited number of passengers. Categories of cargo are: first, bulk solid, large volumes of homogeneous or uniform cargo which lies loose in the holds compartments of the ships. That is, it is not bagged or confined in any specific way other than that imposed by the ship's design. Second is bulk liquids, large volumes of cargoes in liquid state which are carried loose in the compartments of a ship. Next is unitized cargo, a number of small size items which are made up into one unit of standard size. Next is heavy lifts, heavy loads which are carried on ships as one piece. Present-day heavy loads consist of semi-submersible oil rigs, jack-up oil rigs, etc. Next is deck cargoes, cargoes which are carried on main deck of the ship instead of being carried inside the ship due to its nature, size, shape, etc. Refrigerated cargoes, cargoes carried in specially insulated holds or compartments to maintain the controlled temperature required to prevent the deterioration of the products carried. Ro-ro is roll-on, roll-off cargo, which is motorized or wheeled on board the ship, being transferred from deck to deck using ramps and elevators. Next is liquefied natural gas, LNG. These cargoes are liquefied by cooling inshore installation and then transported by ships with elaborate insulation of their tanks capable of maintaining very low temperatures, as low as 161 degrees Celsius, required to prevent the liquid cargo vaporizing. Next is liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. These cargoes are liquefied using pressure. They are then transported in spherical tanks on board ships which are able to maintain this pressure and therefore the liquid state. Chemical cargoes, which are generally carried in liquid form, is bulk in specially built tanks and which pose danger to personnel handling them. General cargo ships' holds were further compartmentalized by one or two decks under the main deck so that different types of cargo carried by these ships could be separately stored. Bulk carriers are the great workhorses of the shipping world, carrying raw dry cargoes such as coal, iron ore, grain, sulfur, scrap metal in the huge cavernous holds. The vessels in the top row are called a geared bulk carrier, so called because they carry its own cargo cranes, very useful when visiting ports which do not have shore cargo handling equipment. Tankers are designed to carry liquid cargoes, not just oil. Oil tankers come in two basic types: the crude carrier, which carries crude oil, and the clean products tanker, which carries the refined products such as petrol, gasoline, aviation fuel, kerosene, and paraffin. The container ship or box ship is the great success story of the last 40 years. General cargo was historically carried in dry cargo vessels without any particular specialization. Through transport or intermodal transport means that these containers can be offloaded from a ship and rapidly loaded onto trains or onto container lorries for onward transport to the place of delivery. Pure car carrier is a ship designed to carry cars in different compartments of the ship. Some ships are designed to carry cars in some compartments and trucks in other compartments. They are now known as pure car and truck carriers, PCTCs. They range in size and construction, but one thing is common for them all. We are very much dependent upon the products they carry every day. A chemical tanker is like an oil tanker, but with more number of smaller tanks. Some vessels have up to 56 tanks. The tanks are specially equipped to handle many types of cargo. The ro-ro, or more fully the roll-on roll-off vessel, come in a number of shapes and sizes, but generally in two types: the passenger ro-ro and the cargo ro-ro. Passenger ro-ros have become common sights wherever people want to travel over water with their vehicles. The cargo ro-ro is less plush than the passenger type, as these vessels are designed for the carriage of commercial vehicles where luxurious passenger accommodation is not a primary consideration. The shape of the LNG carrier is quite unmistakable with the shape of the Moss tanks, which are like enormous spherical thermos flasks. visible along the deck, which has led to the nickname of dinosaur egg carriers. Reefer ships are effectively large refrigerators heavily insulated with modern glass fiber or similarly efficient insulation, shuttered with bright metal that prevents taint and is easy to clean. Heavy loads were first carried on conventional cargo ships, either handled by a port floating crane or by the ship's jumbo derrick, which would make short work of loads like boilers or railway engines up to 100 tons. Now let us check if you have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. Panamax are bulk carriers with a breadth which can pass through the Panama Canal. Right or wrong? Right. RORO types of vessels are designed to carry private cars with passengers, coaches. Right or wrong? Right. Container ships carry ores, coal, grain, fertilizers. Right or wrong? Wrong. Before we end, let us briefly revise what we have studied till so far. A ship is a large vessel that floats on water. Ships are generally distinguished from boats based on size and cargo or passenger capacity. Cargoes may be of various categories, that is, bulk solid, bulk liquid, unitized cargo, heavy lifts, deck cargoes and refrigerated cargoes, ro-ro, gases and chemicals. General cargo ships, bulk carriers, oil tankers, container, pure car carrier, chemical tanker, ro-ro ships, reefer ships, and heavy ships are deployed to carry different types of cargoes. Bulk carriers are the great workhorses of the shipping world. They carry dry cargoes such as coal, iron ore, grain, and sulfur and scrap metals. Oil tankers are specifically designed to carry liquid cargoes. Pure car carriers carry cars, while chemical tankers are designed to carry different chemicals. Reefer ships are effectively large refrigerators heavily insulated with modern glass fiber. Ships are also designed and built to carry heavy lifts.